Come on now, bro. All these pound-for-pound fighters are too scared to fight me. They need $200 million to do it.
I got $200 million for you.
I'm fighting Jake Paul.
Pussy.
Talk about you fighting the best fighter in the world. You better be taking it seriously. You know, that goes to show, you know, how serious he's taking me and how much.
Crawford has taken a surprising turn on Jake Paul's place in boxing. And now, with the chance of stepping in as a possible replacement for Tank, he's openly said he'd take the fight if everything falls into place. This comes after Crawford once insisted Jake Paul didn't deserve to share the ring with real pros. But it looks like the lure of a massive payday might have shifted his view. At first, Crawford couldn't stand what Jake Paul stood for. A YouTuber walking into boxing, making millions, and calling out real fighters who'd spent their lives grinding. It didn't sit right with him. Crawford even described Jake as a circus act, someone turning a sport of warriors into a show for clicks. He was among the loudest voices claiming Paul disrespected boxing, a craft that demands patience, humility, and years of hard-earned scars.
Jake can punch with that right hand. Like, I seen him, you know what I mean, up close in person. Like, dude is big. He's not as slow as people think he is, and he can punch. You know, that's why a lot of people know, like, there's those times where, you know, him and Tyson was in.
But now, he's taken a step back. His tone shifted, and a quiet respect is starting to show. On Logan Paul's podcast, Crawford openly admitted he misjudged the guy. He said, "Yeah, he's boxing. At first, I was totally against it. I was like, man, this dude, when people were coming at you and your brother negatively, I thought, yeah, they're just using their YouTube fame to walk into boxing and grab all this money. You've got fighters who've spent their whole lives in the ring and never see anything close. And I felt it was disrespectful to us in the sport." That's coming from a man who once believed Jake Paul was bad for boxing.
Because check this out, Tank ain't gonna lose this fight. Hell no. Hell no. Tank ain't losing this fight. Too many holes. Man, Jake don't have enough experience. Yeah, man, this gonna be taking candy from a baby. You know, Jake is missing the rules. See, this is what happened when you don't grow up in the game. When you don't grow up in the game, man, at a young age, this is what happens, you know?
According to Crawford, that shift in perspective came after he actually watched Jake Paul put in the work. He didn't see some influencer pretending to box, he saw a man training like a real professional. And that's when it clicked. Crawford said, after watching him and seeing the seriousness he's bringing to training and the focus he's putting into the sport, I was like, this dude's getting better. And Crawford doesn't hand out praise lightly. He's a perfectionist, undefeated, meticulous, and merciless inside the ring. So, for him to look at Jake Paul and admit he's impressed, that means something changed. He's not calling him elite, but he's acknowledging the grind is real.
Happened. Ryan Garcia fights for DAZN, and Jake Paul fights on Netflix. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. Golden Boy has a contract with DAZN. Ryan Garcia has a contract with Golden Boy. And that's just the way it is. I mean, this is business. You know, Ryan Garcia's probably going to rant saying, "Oh, you're keeping me from making money and this and that and fighting." No, you have to go by the law, by the rules. You have a contract with DAZN.
Crawford witnessed it firsthand when he traveled to Puerto Rico to watch Jake take on Ryan Borland. That night, Jake delivered a picture-perfect knockout, and Crawford, who happened to be there for a convention, watched closely. His last fight against Borland, I was there in Puerto Rico, he recalled. I was sitting there thinking, this dude can really hit with that right hand. Something was different. Sure, Jake wasn't facing a monster in the ring, but for him, every step counts. Each fight is another stone laid on the path like it is for any fighter.
Out of like the influencer world would be the most lucrative thing for my career, and I think I was the only one who like actually wanted to do it. And actually wanted to go all the way, and that's why I set the goal for myself early to become a world champion, set the bar extremely high. And
Crawford admitted he's come to see that Jake isn't trying to cut corners. He's not pretending he's ready to face Usyk or Canelo tomorrow. He's taking on opponents that fit his level, and with each fight, he's getting better. A lot of people just want Jake Paul to fight Alexander Usyk, Crawford said. But no, you've got to earn your way up. Watching him live changed something. Crawford walked away with more respect than he'd ever had before. That's a big shift for someone who used to roll his eyes whenever Jake's name came up. Now, Crawford isn't just recognizing him, he's actually considering facing him. And with Gervonta Davis possibly stepping away from the Jake Paul fight, that door just swung wide open.
kidnapping, all sorts of crazy stuff, guys. If this is true, I talk about just fumbling the bag, one of the biggest financial opportunities of his career, and he's about to ruin it. It's being reported that Jake's team is offering Ryan Garcia as a replacement for a December.
When Crawford first heard about the idea of Jake facing Tank, he laughed and called it crazy, and honestly, he wasn't wrong. It is crazy. Jake Paul is a cruiserweight, walking around at 200 pounds, while Tank fights down at 135. That's a huge difference. But Jake wasn't the type to back down. In a Netflix interview, when told about Crawford's crazy comment, Jake smiled and said, "This fight is wild. It's two of America's biggest boxing names, and it's a 50-50 matchup because of his skill and experience. But my size, that's the equalizer. That's what makes it so exciting. Nobody knows how this one's going to play out."
See this footage? Look at Tank. Now, if you know what you're looking at, the guy must be around 150 right now, 153, something like that. And you can really tell when he's sideways. When you look at him sideways and see the depth. See, from the front view, you can't really tell. But when he turns sideways, the guy is a wrecking ball. He's literally a baby rhino.
Classic Jake, confident, calculated, and always selling the moment. But then came the question that really shook things up. Would he ever fight Terence Crawford? Jake didn't even blink. "I'd 100% fight Terence. Let's run it." And just like that, a matchup no one ever expected was suddenly on the table. Crawford, 42-0, one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters alive, maybe the most complete boxer of his era. But time's moving forward, and while Crawford's aging, Jake's still young, powerful, and enormous for his weight. From a money and spotlight perspective, it makes perfect sense.
Oh, not gonna lie, you really got knocked out. Yeah, I really got knocked out. Watch the fight, you idiot. Went 12 rounds. Like, you're weird, bro. Bro didn't even knock me out or even throw punches. That's sad, bro. Just know, bro, I'm coming back. It's gonna be vicious. Like, you guys don't want to see that. You guys are weird trying to troll me over a fight I didn't even care about.
From a legacy angle, it's insane, and maybe that's exactly why both men are open to it. Jake even revealed that the Canelo fight was almost locked in before the Mexican legend pulled out and inked a deal with Saudi boxing boss Turki Al-Sheikh. "I still think the Canelo fight is huge for both of us," Jake said. "We're two of the biggest attractions in boxing, and it would be an incredible challenge for me. But right now, my focus is November 14th, getting past Tank first."
Tight. He's 5'5" with a 67-inch arm reach. But as you can see here, he's working on his versatility. He's now working on fighting orthodox. He's naturally a southpaw. Now he's working on fighting orthodox.
Now that the Tank fight might fall through, the question becomes, who's left? Crawford fits that spot almost perfectly. He's got the name, the respect, the credibility, and that sharp technical mastery. Jake, on the other hand, brings the numbers, the spotlight, and the kind of mainstream buzz that turns fights into global events. Together, they'd pull in millions of eyes, and both of them know it. What's fascinating is how fast the landscape in boxing can shift when money and timing start to align.
Beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
There's a huge size advantage, though.
it is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gotten better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
A year ago, Crawford wouldn't even mention Jake's name in the same breath as boxing. But now, he's saying, if everything lines up, I'd take that fight. It's no longer a stretch, it's business. And honestly, it's easy to understand why. Crawford's done it all, undisputed in 2 divisions, undefeated record, pound-for-pound respect. There just aren't many fights left that can truly thrill the fans and pay him what he's earned. A showdown with Jake Paul could shatter pay-per-view records. At this stage, it's not about proving anything, it's about turning legacy into reward while the moment's still burning hot.
You know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big. Tank ain't gonna be able to get in from that jab. Jake land one good punch on Tank.
Jake's camp is just as calculated. He knows that stepping in with Crawford gives him a kind of legitimacy no win over a retired MMA fighter ever could. Crawford's the real deal, no gimmicks, no shortcuts. And if Jake manages to hold his ground, or even go the distance, his reputation in the boxing world would shoot through the roof.
My only concern is, the gloves. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't fight in 12-ounce gloves. We don't use 12-ounce gloves. That's training gloves, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's 2 pounds away from Jake. He fights.
Anthony Joshua has thrown his name into the conversation too. Two former UFC fighters, including Nate Diaz, are being eyed to step in for Gervonta Davis, but the real shock came when Joshua's name surfaced. After weeks of rumors and playful exchanges online, Eddie Hearn finally confirmed it. Talks about a potential Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight have actually happened. And Joshua's response couldn't have been more direct or more confident. Just tell me where and when.
Kidnapping, all sorts of crazy stuff, guys. If this is true, talk about just fumbling the bag. One of the biggest financial opportunities of his career, and he's about to ruin it. It's being reported that Jake's team is offering Ryan Garcia as a replacement for a...
That's the kind of line only Joshua could deliver, calm, direct, and full of quiet confidence. No theatrics, no teasing tweets, just a straight-up statement of intent. It wasn't some PR stunt or social media bait, it was one of boxing's most recognizable heavyweights saying, "If the business makes sense, I'm there." Eddie Hearn admitted that while the idea sounds exciting, it's far from simple to pull off. Speaking to the press, he explained there's still a long list of things that need to fall into place, mostly the tangled business side of it all. The biggest hurdle right now is the contracts. Jake Paul is tied to Netflix, while Joshua is locked in with DAZN, and the two platforms are fierce rivals in the streaming battle. Unless they strike some kind of crossover deal, the fight can't move beyond talk. As Eddie Hearn put it, without DAZN's approval, their blessing, or a deal they're fully satisfied with, nothing moves forward.
Have come out and put this fight in serious peril. So much so that reports have been saying that, hey, Jake Paul's team have already started contacting fighters about being a replacement, whether it be for this November 14th date or maybe a date in December. And the 5 names they already contacted are some of the biggest names in the sport.
But here's where things start to feel real. Hearn revealed that he's already had conversations with Jake Paul's manager, Nakisa Bidarian, about making it happen. This isn't fantasy matchmaking anymore, there are actual talks underway. And yes, Joshua's fully in the loop. The moment he heard about it, he responded with that trademark confidence of his, "Just tell me where and when," AJ said.
He's a marketing genius, but when it comes to people that picking his fights, I can't get my head around it. If Tank hits him clean, he's going to sleep. He'll have a lot of smoke blowing up his backside by his coaching team and people like that, but when he gets hit for real, 10 ounce, well, I'm told it's 16-ounce gloves now, it's like an exhibition. Right. I'm told it's big gloves and head guards he's gonna need.
Tank is light on his feet, a natural lightweight, while Jake, weighing in at nearly 200 pounds, is a force to be reckoned with. The clash of these two was bound to be a spectacle. It might not have been the most logical match, but it was definitely one that had fans buzzing non-stop. With the Davis fight now in doubt, Jake's team is already on the hunt for someone to take that massive headline spot. And Jake? He didn't waste a second. Speaking to Sky Sports, he made it clear, talks with Anthony Joshua are real. 100% this could happen. Our teams are in talks, he said, and we're working to make it happen next year.
In the situation, you guys can look into it. I didn't, you know me, I don't really speak about stuff outside the ring, but now I have to since it affects the ring, okay, and what happens in the ring. The fight may be canceled. It's a civil suit from my understanding, and I don't want to, confuse you guys or misinform you guys. I didn't look into it much.
Jake, being Jake, of course, didn't stop there. He looked at the camera and said, "It would be fun to take on Anthony Joshua after this fight. Take a massive risk, a massive challenge, and step into a fight where no one even gives me the slightest chance of winning. That excites me." And just like that, he was back at it, vintage Paul, chasing the impossible and selling it with a straight face. He knows exactly what he's doing. If he faces Joshua, it's not just a fight, it's one of the biggest boxing events of the decade. It's also completely insane from a competitive standpoint. Joshua stands at 6 feet 6 inches, weighing 250 pounds, an Olympic gold medalist, and a 2-time unified heavyweight champion. Jake, for all his improvements, is still a cruiserweight level fighter with less than 10 pro bouts. But that's the thing about him, he's fearless when it comes to chasing moments, and that's why people keep watching.
We know it's early. Less than 2 weeks, no fighter is going to take that. There will be no fight if it isn't Tank Davis on November 14th. As this moment, there has been no cancellation, but it seemingly is in the direction of Tank Davis not fighting Jake Paul on the 14th. So no fighter, legitimate fighter, is going to step in on 2 weeks' notice, even if it is.
Still, not everyone's buying the hype. Former UFC champion Michael Bisping had plenty to say about Jake Paul's next move, and he didn't hold back. On his YouTube channel, Bisping made it clear he has zero sympathy for Jake as he scrambles to find a replacement for Gervonta Davis. He said what a lot of people in the fight world have been thinking, that the only reason fans were even tuned into the Paul vs. Davis talk was pure curiosity. Everyone wanted to see how Tank's skill would stack up against Jake's size. But without that matchup, the energy just isn't the same, and the buzz has started to fade.
The retort would be there's such a big weight discrepancy there, right? That's what some people...
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Tank probably sparred like heavyweights or light heavyweights and things like that.
Damn,
so
really?
It's probably nothing that he never seen before. I'm pretty sure Jake never fought nobody that little.
No, it's good.
So
that's the fascinating part about it.
I feel like it's more so harder for Jake to fight a smaller guy like that.
Bisping also called out what's been frustrating traditional fight fans for years, Jake's choice of opponents. Every time Jake steps into the ring, the same question comes up: how real is this? He's beaten retired MMA fighters, aging boxers, and names well past their prime. It's entertaining, sure, but it's not elite competition. And while Bisping did admit that Jake's skills have come a long way, he still isn't convinced. The idea of Paul stepping in with someone genuinely dangerous, like Francis Ngannou? Bisping doesn't buy it for a second.
Paul versus Tank Davis November the 14th fight is off. The Jake Paul team have now reached out to Anthony Joshua, Floyd Mayweather, Ryan Garcia and Edgar Berlanga to replace Tank Davis, who is being sued for assault on his ex-girlfriend.
He broke it down in classic Bisping fashion, straightforward and sharp. Going up against Francis Ngannou? That's a man who pushed Tyson Fury to the edge, who dropped him, and honestly, from what many saw, and if Bisping remembers right, Ngannou was lucky not to get that decision. So, to him, there's just no way Jake Paul ever steps into that kind of storm. But if he does? Bisping said it himself: hey, listen, I'll be the first to raise my hand and admit I was wrong.
Is this really the case? It has been reported by a couple of online periodicals, and if this is the case, then it says something about influencer, crossover and exhibition boxing. Because the reports are that the Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis fight is light by 6,000 tickets.
Bisping isn't just hating for the sake of it, he's speaking from a fighter's perspective. Ngannou isn't some random power puncher, he's the man who nearly shocked the world in his boxing debut against the heavyweight king himself. Jake might be bold, sure, but Ngannou is a whole different kind of danger. He's massive, explosive, and carries knockout power that can crumble elite heavyweights. The risk-to-reward ratio there? It's downright insane. And yet, somehow, Jake and Ngannou have already traded words, their rivalry starting long before any bell ever rings.
Jake Paul, Tank, how you see that fight going?
Man, that's not a real fight. I like Jake.
Is Tank?
It's not a real fight.
It's not a fight. Does Tank have a chance? He's so much smaller. He's a real boxer, but he's so much smaller.
After Jake's fight with Mike Tyson, Ngannou jumped online and called him out, saying he wanted to slap him. Jake shot right back, calling Ngannou a clout chaser. It never moved past the social media back and forth, but it definitely planted a seed. Still, as Bisping sees it, that's exactly where it'll stay, on Twitter, not in a ring. Meanwhile, Nate Diaz's name has started floating around again. He's already faced Jake and went the full distance. And while that fight didn't exactly set the world on fire, it still sold big. Diaz has the fans, the toughness, and the crossover appeal, but he's not the blockbuster name who can really step in and fill Gervonta Davis's shoes.
Boxing here. So early rumours for the replacement for Tank Davis to fight Jake Paul is Nate Diaz. It's going to be a rematch that no one asked for and no one wants to see. Unless you do, what's your thought?
The only two names that could really move the needle like that are Anthony Joshua and maybe, one day, Francis Ngannou. If Jake somehow lands Joshua, it's game over for the critics. That fight would shatter every record streaming platforms have ever seen. The sheer scale of it, YouTube sensation versus Olympic heavyweight icon, is crazy enough to actually work. But in the end, it's the business side that decides everything. DAZN and Netflix don't just share content, they're rivals. So unless some mega co-promotion deal comes together, this one might just stay as talk, for now.
I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying?
What do you think of the fight?
I don't want to lose to somebody that. There's no point in the fight. It's a great fight, actually.
You think
I'm
it's
not
a good
hating
fight?
on the fight, but my thoughts on it is let's watch and see what happens.
Ryan Garcia said that boxing's turning into WWE.
Yeah,
with that type of matchup. You agree? last thing, White House card, like he said, you want Conor McGregor.
Yeah, but the whole thing's on WWE, so
Right.
it's like, at least that's happening and getting something to talk about.
Still, Joshua's simple response, "Just let me know where and when," shifted the whole mood. Suddenly, it wasn't a joke or a gimmick anymore. It became real, a potential fight both sides are actually circling. Hearn wouldn't even consider it if the money and reach weren't enormous. And for Jake, whether he beats Gervonta Davis or not, getting Joshua to even agree is the kind of win that keeps his entire boxing saga alive. Right now, between Diaz, Ngannou, Joshua, and Crawford, Jake Paul's next chapter is shaping up to be as unpredictable as ever. And for a guy like him, that's exactly how he wants it: loud, risky, and impossible to ignore. So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more updates.